Oh, Mayor, I gotta be out of here a little after 3, so anything we gotta vote on,
Let's get it done.
get it out of the way first.
Great, so, good afternoon and welcome to the Water and Sewer Commission meeting, Monday, May 2nd, 2 p.m. I think the first thing we do is open it up for public participation. Anybody have any public participation?
Public chooses
Seeing
not to participate.
seeing none, we'll move on quickly to the billing issues. Bill?
Have no
No
billing
bi-
issues.
no billing issues to
This afternoon's meeting.
Look at that. This happened quick, right? All right, let's see. Number 3, let's take a look at the stormwater moment, our MS4 presentation.
Our stormwater moment for this month is actually our permit, our annual permit that's included in your package. It's something we work on yearly. We have input from Jeremy and Tom as far as all of our systems throughout the city, and our collection of stormwater, how we respond to calls, how we empty trash bins and do everything to make sure that we keep everything clean. How we identify and illicit discharges and compile inspection reports, high-risk areas, how we maintain the outfalls, how what projects we do for separation within the sanitary and storm system. And this report outlines all of that, and we submit it obviously yearly to DEC. Jeremy, you have anything to?
I think it summed it up pretty well.
Your work stands for itself, Jeremy? Speaks
Report
for
stands.
itself?
I hope so.
All right.
Tom, anything?
The crew and Joe, good job. I did go through all my paperwork from the first time I found it after the fact. I didn't know I showed it.
Does the board have any questions on
Does
this?
this apply to water and stormwater? There's another pollution that in Galusha on North Street. They have a driveway that is stone.
Mm-hmm.
And the stones, when the trucks go out, the stones get on the street, and then they wash down to the stormwater.
So the residual from the stones in the driveway
Yeah,
are impacting the storm system?
yeah. I don't know if that applies to this or not.
Yeah, this would apply to it, and it's entering the stormwater system, because this is basically the MS4 is what
Yeah,
dictates what can be done and what has to be done, so
yeah,
at the end of the meeting, we'll get together and you can tell me the address and we'll check it out.
yeah. Okay.
Any other questions about the MS4 annual report?
We need a motion to accept the plan.
Let's see.
Wouldn't hurt, because then we have to go before it has to go to the council.
Yeah, it's
too.
got to go to the council first. Or not first.
No, I think, yeah.
So, we could have a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
So, second?
All in favor?
Yes?
Yes.
So moving on now to resolutions, we need to approve the approval of the last meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes?
Great. An approval to the, for the warrant. Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
All in favor?
Yeah.
Approval of the change orders for the water plant project Suez and Roselle. Let's start with the Suez change orders. Bill, do you want to?
Yeah, these were obviously situations that we could not determine what the cost would be until we had the filters emptied. As I showed you before, some of those compartments of the concrete and the fiberglass were broken by the air lancing, so we didn't know how much money to carry within a change order if we wanted to do some sort of contingency. So I think that's what the thought process going forward would be, address it as needed. 'Cause we didn't want to put any kind of contingency in, and based on this, you know, overall project was about 1.5 million. If you look at this, we're about 7, a little over 7%. Change orders, anything from like 5 to 10% is usually considered a good project. Anything under 5% is an excellent project. So,
And this is pretty much done, right? It's not gonna change again?
no,
or
this
we're done?
should be completed. Contractor is actually off-site now, so
Oh, they're all done?
they're all done.
Oh, great.
Yeah, as of about 11:49 Friday night. They got everything they could out of it, so right now, we were running on filters 4 and 5. Since probably last Thursday, we also were running on filter 1, so we had 3 out of the 5 filters. We still have 4 and 5 to go ahead and flush out and clean and do the coliform testing. Once they pass coliform testing, we'll be able to go ahead and put those online too. We don't envision any problems. Filter 1 went much easier than filters 4 and 5, and that may be because they put too much sand in filters 4 and 5 and had to remove some of it. So when we just did the proper amount of sand in filter 1, it cleared up like in hours rather than a couple days.
We're gonna advertise that at all to the public.
The change?
Yeah, I think it'd probably be a good thing to let the public know that we
Upgrade.
did the water treatment plant.
Yeah.
And,
The
I mean,
filters?
It's part of your,
Community service.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, it's a great idea. No, I don't believe we have. I also don't think we've done a very good job at letting the public know the use of ARPA money, right? I think it gets mentioned when it's in the budget and it's in the process, and so if anybody's attending the council meetings and or watching the water and sewer meeting might know this project was covered under ARPA money. That's why we're even though 82,000 is a lot, it is only 7% of the overall budget, and it's covered by ARPA money. So anyway, I think it's a good idea. Good suggestion.
The 82 is out of, that's Suez, and then there's another 26 for Roselle.
Yeah, so we'll go to
it's really
Roselle
like
in just a second.
109, yeah. that's
Yeah,
the
so
total,
do-
109.
and the Roselle is, again, the it's part of the same project.
Yes.
So different contractors, but
Yeah.
the total amount, and it will be ARPA funds, so, yeah, I think, it's a great suggestion, let me work on it, yep.
I did recommend to Suez that, you know, we had a lot of these different conferences, and they give presentations on different kinds of projects. I thought that was a good presentation to do for a conference
Yeah.
session at one of these conferences, or a WWA conferences.
Also glad to see we're using local maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Roselle does it.
They're down here.
Yeah, they do an excellent job, and we'd like to use them.
Glad to
Yeah.
see we're using local.
So although this is 2, you wanna go ahead and review the Roselle, portion of it? And
Yeah,
then
well-
we'll do one resolution to approve the whole amount?
Yeah.
Is that right?
The Suez one was for the troughs and doing some more of the head loss gauges and things like that, and some more of the anemic paint and caulking around the troughs that we spoke about earlier in the project. Roselle was actually doing the stainless steel that covered that fiberglass, you know, where all the fiberglass was broken and the cement was exposed, so you couldn't leave it like that. So they came in, they capped all that, they like an overlapping system, like 2 L's, inverted L's, and then they tied them together with some stainless steel. All of it was stainless steel. Obviously, it would have to be for drinking water. So that's what Roselle's was. The initial one was the 8848. That was for the 2 filters 4 and 5. I was pleasantly surprised that filters 1, 2, 3, there was only 15.9 because the first one was only 3 of them, and the second stage was 11 different areas that had to be done. So, and then they had to help us with one of our butterfly valves that we had to replace.
Go through the normal course of things, do we run all the filters simultaneously, or do you alternate?
Well, usually during normal operations, you probably run 3. During heavy usage in the summer, probably 4. You know, if there's a fire or it's, we get into really drought conditions and things like that with a lot of water usage, we can run on 5.
I didn't know if there was a schedule where you're running 3 now and 2 and 4 later.
Well, he'll alternate the hours, because what happens is our SCADA system keeps track of the hours of operation on each one of the filters.
Thank you.
And try to keep them as even as possible.
Motion, I'll move that motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Thanks.
Thank you very much. And approval of the GCS service contract?
Yes. As we were talking about the water treatment plant is basically automated. It runs basically on the SCADA system, and the operators, are there during the day, and when they leave at night, everything's automated, so everything runs by computer. The operators have a tablet, and they have their phones, and if anything happens, they have alarms. But basically, that for all intentions and purposes, that treatment plant runs through its computer system. GCS is the contractor that takes care of that, and what they've done in the past, and what we've had them in the past, is basically a will call. We're a will call customer. We call them up, and hopefully they can come and take care of our problems, and they always have. There hasn't been any issues until about a month and a half ago, when the guy that usually, Josh, comes and does all the stuff on this computer system, and he's the most familiar with it, was on vacation, out of state, so we couldn't get him here. During that time, for a little bit, we were running manually for a few hours, and then they had someone else come, but I forget the last name of the gentleman's name. First name was Mark, but he wasn't familiar with the system, so he was trying to get back and forth with Josh, and Josh wasn't available, so he's trying to figure everything out. Well, this contract will give us will be a contractual obligation for the services, so that we always need to have someone available for us that knows the system. So there'll be not only Josh, there'll be a backup to Josh, whether it's Mark or someone else, but there'll always be. This is about a fifth of the entire line item that we have. We have roughly a little over $50,000 in this line item that we utilize for this kind of services. So this gives us a contractor that's obligated.
So it's not a new line item?
No.
It's not?
No, it'd be coming out of the same,
Right.
and that money obviously would be utilized for their services. And as I said, Mike was on vacation, so I didn't get to see exactly what we used last year, but that's the line item. We have a little over, like I said, $50,000 in that line item.
Great.
But I don't know what we utilized to date or in the previous years. I'll try and find it out for the workshop on Monday.
Do we have a motion to approve the contract?
So moved.
Second,
Yep.
all in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Thank you. And so on to our discussion portion. Bill, you want to give us some updates on current projects, please?
Sure, I think we just told you all about the Blue Sand. As we said, we finished up Friday evening, almost Saturday morning. So all the filters right now are completed. 3 out of the 5 are online. The 4th will be scheduled to be filtered out so that we can put that back online. We have to do 2 simultaneous coliform, one day, one the next day, and if it passes, then we can start putting it on, running water through it, and filling the tanks. Right now, we're well within our ranges for treatment. One of our concerns, obviously, was to get this all done before the warm weather hits and water consumption goes up. And also, Tom has to do his hydrant flushing. I guess we're going to do that in June. So we had to coordinate that, so we should be ready for that when he does all his hydrant flushings. So that should have ample supply of water to do that. So hopefully, by the end of this week, we'll have a fourth filter up, and then by the end of the following week, the fifth filter, if not before. Because like I said, that number one filter really took only a few hours compared to the other route, which took us a couple days. So hopefully we're anticipating that filter 2 will only take a few hours and filter 3 will only take a few hours. So
Good.
by the end of the week, we may have both, but you know, we'll try and run them slowly and go from there. Let's see here. That's a picture of when they were under construction. You can see, and that's what it looks like now.
Wow.
So
Nice.
it's a little different.
Yeah.
You know, that's filters 4 and 5 that are online. You can see how it has canvas covering the second stage, so no debris into the final one. And then,
Another 30 years, right?
yeah.
We'll be retired.
Well,
Go
maybe
for it.
even longer, because now we've learned some experience and not what we shouldn't be doing.
That's great.
Here you can see this is fits right into this, the Butler Intake Bridge. This is a project that we were able to get grant money from Warren County Soil and Water, correct, Jeremy? $9,000
Yes.
to replace the decking on that bridge. It was, as you can see, overgrown and in desperate need of repair. This is, you can see the steel decking was stripped off. And now we painted it with what kind of paint was it, Jeremy?
It's a specialty paint that's meant to bind the light corrosion, to encapsulate that. Guys did a real nice job.
The maintenance crew did a nice job,
Looks
yeah.
good.
And the Warren County Sewer, what, did they put the tarp in, or was that BOCES?
No, Warren County did the containment underneath to kind of catch any debris
Yeah.
or rust that flaked off when the guys prepped.
We have actually, you have the spillway, the water's running underneath that tarp.
I was gonna ask you if you shut it all down.
We were hoping that it was gonna be, and it was just before we started, but, because of all the rain and the runoff, the intakes are, you know, overflowing. Not only are we using it, they're losing water out of it. So, and BOCES is doing all of the labor there, as far as they're putting all the material together, and they'll be putting the bridge back together.
And it?
Yep. So hopefully by the end of, well, not even the end of this month, maybe by the workshop, you know, we'll have that decking on.
I think that's.
And you know, the maintenance crew did a nice job painting it. Tom's crew had to go up. The road leading up to there was really muddy and tough to get maneuver in and out of it. So they had to put a lot of stone down. They actually built a couple of, put some pipes in so that they take the water away from some culverts, pipe culverts. And so. And that's about it. If anybody has any.
Oh, some major building for a little old bridge.
Yeah, well, you know, they probably took some heavy equipment over there when they had to go and, you know,
Sure.
dig some material out of that spillway intake.
Any questions?
We gotta recognize BOCES and, for their.
Yeah, once the project's complete, we'll write something up, and hopefully, you know, that'll be part of our stormwater initiative and stuff like that, so. Any questions on that? Electrical system analysis. Jeremy, you wanna handle this, or do you want me to?
Sure. So, in the beginning of March, the city issued a request for a statement of qualifications for professional electrical engineering services for the upcoming electrical upgrades down here at the wastewater plant. And on Friday of last week, we received one proposal from Goldie Engineering, located in Greenwich. I think a copy of that proposal has been distributed, but So, just a quick summary of how we might see this project unfolding is we'd like to retain a professional electrical engineer to help us develop a clear and concise scope of work and issue an RFP for yet another engineering firm to actually do the design and the upgrades, the drawings and the specifications and the bid package. This portion is just the preliminary stages of a much bigger project.
Planning phase.
Planning phase. The project was quoted on an hourly basis, and after reviewing the scope that I had outlined, Gold Engineering has suggested a target budget of around $24,000 to do this work. That might seem like a lot, but on the grand scheme of things, of a $2 to $3 million project, it's 1% or less of the overall cost. But I think it's important to have someone with the experience to set us in the right direction, make sure that we get everything we're looking for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And I would also say that getting a really nice, tight, well-directed RFP out should yield better proposals coming back in to do the work. Everybody's on the same level playing field. There's no assumptions that have to be made. Whenever there's assumptions, you want to cover your costs and what you might know, what you might not know. So that's kind of where we're at. We just want to let the board, the commissioners know where we're at. Open for discussion.
I use John, my past employment. He did a phenomenal job. I mean, I would highly recommend him.
No,
He
I
did-
mean, his experience that
Yeah.
that he submitted his resume and stuff. That's why, it was the first suggestion
Yeah.
when people.
No, he's an excellent engineer.
Yeah,
He did a-
and I failed to mention, actually, John was involved in the 1986 reconstruction of this place, so he's very familiar with it.
He helped us with our electrical safety program. We analyzed their electrical system. We put a generator in. He was involved in that. So, I mean, just a really good guy, very responsive to,
Well, that's everything that led us to him, basically that he was so good and so well recommended, plus the fact that he knew, about the 86 update and was involved in that. He knows, we sat down and talked to him, he knows exactly what we're looking for, including, if there's enough funding to do generators and things like that. And then looking at, if we need to replace a blower, if we can do that, and also looking at the mixing system within the thickeners.
So as, to remind everybody where we're at with this is that this is probably the single largest project that would come out of the, we're waiting, hopefully by the end of this month, we'll have received the ARPA funding for the second half of our ARPA funding that comes this month. Or we've got 2 to 3 years to use those funds. I asked each department in the city to submit capital projects that they thought were important, could be not just regarding ARPA funds, but in general. I was trying to get an assessment of what our total city needs are. This is probably the biggest project that could make a huge difference for us here. I mean, this is now what year were the current electrical services here created?
86.
86. So, this would be a huge boost to the city of Glens Falls, and to use ARPA money at this point seems to be the wisest use. So that's the intention. But we also will have those choices. when you're using ARPA money, you need to use it for a complete project. You can't use, let's say, you can't say, okay, I'm gonna get a grant here from the state to pay for 40%, and then we use ARPA money for 60%. It's not the way it works. But you can separate things out like engineering services. And as this plan moves forward, we'll ask these contractors to see what phases you can, what phases or portions that this project may 3 or 4 steps from planning to engineering to maybe there's different sections that could be made separate projects, and therefore we could apply for water and sewer and infrastructure money. We know that the federal and state government have a lot of it, but at this point we know that so I've earmarked a big portion of that ARPA money to go here and talk to the council about it as well. It's the number one thing that was left from the Mayor Hall's administration that was on the docket that we couldn't get to. Just like the Dix Avenue was the major project before, and just like Dix Avenue, where we took the top and we used that transportation, the TIP funding for above ground, and then we used ARPA money for the water and sewer storm separation out for the bottom ground. We might be able to do that, but this plan is how we're moving forward with that, one step at a time. Getting a good plan. It's all encompassing, right? Would it be all of the electrical, right? Okay.
It's everything from the power feed in, substation, generators, motor control centers.
Everything to be looked at,
It's
and we'll
a
see where
total
that
evaluation.
number comes.
What the needs are, right? And that's why that's a huge gap between the 2 and 3 million. You know, it's can't 33% difference there, right? Even in my poor math skills. But that's what this will help us with, to understand exactly what we have lying in front of us, and what those costs could be.
So is there any way to factor in any future growth in that equation, or is?
I think actually they'll be looking at that, but I think the way the facility was built, the electrical system is much larger than is needed right now. You know, we're probably never going to redo the incinerator, so there's a large chunk of electricity there. Some other systems that were all upgraded through the ESCO money and
So we're actually
state-of-the-art
using less
stuff.
than we
Yeah,
were, yeah.
using a lot much more energy efficient stuff, things than we had in '86. Also, Jeremy just received this morning, so unfortunately we weren't able to get a resolution before you today. What we'd like to do is probably call a special meeting for the workshop so that we can have a resolution. Everybody will have a chance to look at this, and then we can get that passed and on to the
And then
council.
the council would have the same information too,
Yeah.
so for them to approve. So,
That's what our intentions are at least, so hopefully we'll go ahead and do that and call for a special meeting during the workshop.
I got a question on page 3, the expert witness testimony. What's that?
Well, that's just his fee schedules. So if David needed an expert witness at one of his trials, this is what he charges. This is how much he would charge.
If he was called to
If
be a
he was
witness.
called to be a witness. That's nothing he's using in our thing.
It's just a generic.
This is just.
scheduled rates.
Yeah, this is just telling you these are what his fee schedules are. His standard is overtime, holiday, and Sunday rate. We don't plan on using him for either one of those.
Anybody?
So it pays to be an expert witness.
So we don't have, that's the reason that's just on the discussion, is because this isn't up for, you haven't had enough time to look
To
at it.
review it, yeah.
To review it. We just got it. So just so you know it's there, get a good look at it, form any questions, and we'll put it on.
At the workshop.
Any questions or anything? You have anything for me?
I'll do the same, share it with the council.
Everybody be prepared. Any other questions on that? Switchgear work, everything's in. We were hoping to start today, but they had a scheduling conflict, so that's going to take place next Monday. So next, probably half a day next Monday, hopefully, you know, we'll be able to work on one side, then switch it over and work on the other side, so that we'll be up, it'll be up and done, and hopefully put that to bed for now, until we look at upgrading everything over there.
Questions?
This might be a chance to get the public's knowledge of what's going on down here, that we are upgrading things as the grant money works its way through the system down to
Yeah.
the little us.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe a summary of updates, projects that we've got going that I could share.
Sure.
Clarifier project?
The clarifier project that we passed last month, also passed the council, so Suez is in the process of going ahead and mobilizing their everything they need to do to get that taken care of. Probably look at somewhere, hopefully during the drier months, maybe August or beginning of September, you know, before we get into the fall and any kind of precipitation. So the way we outlined that was that we were going to go ahead and do one tank, get that done, and within a day's time, get them the other one. This way they don't have to remobilize a crew, so that they're all here and ready to go.
Questions? Great. Don't think we have any personnel on.
Well, actually, we do. Chris interviewed a candidate for an operator position, open operator position we have. There's been a offer made, so we're waiting to hear back on that. No, we haven't heard yet. And also we're looking at a attendant or summer helper up at the water treatment plant, and an offer was extended also for that position, so as soon as we hear back on that, let everyone know.
Fantastic.
The only other one quick thing I did have, I did reach out to Wheelabrator on an extension. They said they would get back to us. Haven't heard, that was probably about a week ago.
Okay. I don't think we need to go into executive session, do we? Or any questions about personnel? Yes.
Before you go into executive, executive session,
Oh,
I'd just like to bring up, part of, there's like a recreation committee, the mayor's formed, and starting to look at playground stuff. Anyways, Eastfield came to mind. We're trying to start doing some work at Eastfield. One of the biggest things was the Eastfield pond always overflows. You know, when we get heavy rainstorms, when we get snow melt. So a group of us, Jeremy, Bill, and myself, a couple of field operations guys, Jason, went down, because we have a pump house there, but it's never has been working in years, 15 years, I don't know how long. Long story short is we drained the pond down, and this is why I'm telling you guys in case anybody calls you. We drained the pond down to about 3 foot level, at some point 7 foot on the far high end. And just today we found the exit pipe for the pump.
The intake.
And so Bill doesn't even know, I just was telling Jeremy, because I just met Jason out there 5 minutes ago before I came here. So everything's running good. We don't have to drain the pond down anymore. The pump station works now. So we'll be.
Is there any bikes?
Sorry?
Is there any bikes down there,
Pikes or pipes?
or bikes?
Bicycle.
Oh, yeah, bikes,
Shopping carts.
tires, a couple of hats. I didn't find the head that belonged to the
That's good. That's very good. No heads.
The biggest thing is if anybody does call you, or you probably should have brought it up. This came pretty quick.
He'll let me know.
We brought it up. That's the reason we're draining the pond now.
Where's it drained to? You gotta hit the grate in the street, or does it have its own
It has
piped
its own
in?
discharge.
Yeah.
Well, eventually it ends up in the Haskell Avenue storm sewer.
Well, that's a big plus. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to buy a pump.
Don't buy a pump.
There we go. We should keep tally somewhere of all the savings we, right?
Say we don't buy a pump now.
Ah, there you go.
Let's
All
get it
right.
up and running. Tom and I also met out there on Friday, looking at the pool too. So with Don Colts and Amy, trying to figure out a plan on what we can do in-house as far as, you know, keeping track of testing and things like that. Chemicals and
Yeah.
things of
I
that
had
sort.
a brainstorm with that, Billy. What do you think about draining that pool? So so they don't have to put $1,000 worth of chemicals in it.
Well, that's what.
Oh, drain it
I'd
and then
say.
refill it?
It may be cheaper in the long run to do that, so, but,
We'll talk about that later.
yeah. And also, I forgot during personnel too, Tom interviewed a couple guys too, for a couple different positions he had.
They're
So
not
this is
knocking
where
down-
Judy
they're not
was-
knocking down the door yet.
This is where Judy was hiding, working on meeting with
Yeah, we
you,
had-
Chris.
We had like 6 interviews for 2 different positions, one with DPW, one.
Great. Any questions? Our goal is, we'd like to, if COVID continues to cooperate, well, and it's barely cooperating, if we call it that, it is, the rates are climbing, slowly but surely, and, if they don't get up over, 10% spread rate, then we should, the hope is to come back, open our pools up, open our rec programs to what they were pre-COVID. We're interviewing like that's the case. Of course, that's all contingent on, right? It's quite dismaying to see we're 6 or 7% right now, and so even in this nice weather, thank goodness that the severity of COVID isn't as bad as it was. But anyway, the numbers are still climbing. So if they don't climb much higher, then our current plan is to come back, to bring our rec programs back, and therefore clean up the parks as best we can. Spend some time cleaning up the pond area, right? And looking and assessing. We're trying to find funds and invest in Eastfield as well as our other parks. So the money's there, but again, it's making sure that we're keeping people safe. I didn't think we were going to have. I mean, when we talked about this a month ago, I thought it was clear sailing. The trouble would be hiring people. So anyway, I'll keep you informed as we move forward.
These pictures up now are the pictures of the scum troughs. I don't know if you recall, we approved that back, I think, in November.
Scum troughs?
Yeah, those were the primary tanks that take all the floatables off of the primary tanks. But those were approved back, coming out of last year's budget, actually. And those were the ones that were approved. I think it was just over like 112,000, somewhere, just over $100,000 for that. And then they'll be installed in the next few months. We'll go tank by tank. Oh, I got shot. So a nice picture Christmas car.
Any other comment?
We are doing COVID testing in wastewater through Quadrascience, which is part of Syracuse University. We do a test on Mondays. It's perhaps Sunday night, Monday morning, mailed out on Monday. I have the results on Tuesday, with a trend on Wednesday or Thursday. And yes, we are continuing to go up in the Glens Falls region. It's a steady climb.
Oh, COVID?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a steady climb in the wastewater we're showing. The wastewater is reflecting actual what's going on out in the city. So if anybody that's on the collection system that utilizes the sewer system, they can detect if they've had COVID or not, whether it's a home study, they're asymptomatic, but you give off COVID particles that are detected through this system.
Microbiology.
It's being done through a grant through New York State. It's statewide. All the 4A wastewater treatment plants are doing it. Us, Saratoga, Albany, Schenectady, everybody.
Wow. Okay.
I know Chris has been in contact with you, David, about Moreau,
Mm-hmm.
about their revamping their sewer ordinances. I didn't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go into an
No, I don't
executive
think so
section
either.
on that. So Chris brought to my attention last week that Moreau, and it looks like it's in connection with them eventually discharging to Saratoga County, they've redone or they're proposing changing their sewer ordinance. And Chris has reviewed what they're proposing, and it's not compliant with the city's guidelines and regulations. So Chris sent an excellent outline to me, and so I reached out to Carla Bittner, and I just said that Chris has analyzed, this is gonna cause violations, and it's gonna interfere with our process. You might want to think about, reviewing our regulations again and making sure you're in line. I have not heard back from her, but I did reach out to her, both a phone call and an email on Friday morning. So as soon as I hear back from her, I'll report back to everybody.
Yeah, Chris did a great job, an excellent job
Yep.
going through.
Yeah, let's get out ahead of that.
Yeah.
You send me a copy of that?
Yeah, yeah.
Dave, here's the finished version.
What's that?
Here's the finished version. I had time today to review it.
Finished
Okay.
version?
And add to it.
Okay, great, thank you. Scan and email me that? Yep, thanks.
Do we need a executive session?
I don't.
Nope.
I didn't think so.
Unless,
No.
Not that I do.
No, I didn't think so either, that's why I just wanted to check the way we were talking. Any other comment? So our next proposed meeting is Water and Sewer Workshop, May 16th, 2 p.m. here. And then the regular meeting, June 6th. And so again, at Water and Sewer, if we have a quorum, we'll have a resolution to approve
Yeah.
that, and it would go then to
Well,
the
we do
council.
have to declare a special meeting. It has to-
Oh, do we
Yeah.
do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we
You
go.
have to do the notice and
Yeah,
you
there has
gotta
to be
do
a
the.
24-hour
Yeah.
or something, some time constraint on whether it's a special meeting. or not. So we'll take care of that. We'll make sure it's all taken care of.
With that, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.